Hello, everyone. I thought it was time for a little State of the Union for Connection Games recording. I'm at Sierra Hot Springs in Northern California, and it's this beautiful spot. I actually first held the Connection Games retreat here 7 or 8 years ago, and now I come here basically once a month when I'm in California to offer Connection Games in exchange for food and housing. And Vanessa helped me out this weekend. We had a bunch of people. It's actually a challenging place to lead because people are here to soak, not take workshops. But it's also fun to drop our expectations and show up with and be with whoever is there. So how is Connection Games going? Really, the intro nights we've been having the last couple of weeks have blown my mind. I know most of you from the existing container and from the new containers were probably there. So you got a sense of that. You got a felt sense of how a community can be energized when there is a core group who really seem to care about the work. They get it and embody it. They love each other and you feel that connection in them. And they're also open-hearted and really excited to welcome new community members. So we saw that happening. It's just magical. So yeah, I'm really grateful for Nico in many ways, but right now he's having conversations with people who might be joining the new containers. And we'll know sometime this week if there's one or two. And then we'll have a community that's larger than that small intimate group that we've been playing with for the last 5 months since the Circling Festival. And that immediately opens up new possibilities, play sessions that are shared. And I can share more about that, but there's this excitement in me that I was just hoping to get like 6 people because I wanted Abigail and Anya Sophie to come play with us. But it seems that a lot more than 6 are actually interested. And this work, this play, this playful work is really resonating with people on a deep level. I think there's a need. A friend just pointed out that the Surgeon General his last speech on the way out was about loneliness and what a terrible thing it is in the world. And like I perhaps over time clarified with the initial container, joining a 6-month Connection Games training is not about curing your own loneliness, not only about that, right? But it's really about learning to be a purveyor of connection, especially of deep connection, of vulnerable, courageous connection out into the world. So how can we use these games to actually make the world more connected? It sounds so trite when I say it, but you get it. And an example was I was at Interfusion Festival hanging out with Daryl, who's organizing a Washington, D.C. in-person weekend on April 12th through 13th, and also joining the new container. But I was just talking to him, and then a friend came up and gave him a hug. And I took a risk, right? So that's like the first step of sharing in the world. I was like, so Daryl, can we play a quick connection game? Can we do introduction by appreciation? Will you tell me what you love about your friend? And he did, and I forget if the friend did as well. And it was just a little act, a little. It almost feels like an act of rebellion, like against the outside world, against the default world. So I'm hoping that we will do that more. Actually, one of the things that's shifted in my understanding is I thought about this container as just a training container, right? And I think Nico has convinced me to think of it as 4 separate 6-month trainings. And when we looked at like what makes sense, the first 6 months, it really makes sense to work on becoming a high-level player who can take it home. So what does high-level player mean? That's perhaps a controversial term, as Dakota remembered. I think I use that term, and others and myself as well use it almost as a way to put themselves above others, and that's definitely not what it is. I love the idea of servant leadership, which is that if you truly are a high-level player, you can show up to any game, any moment, any group, and find a way to enjoy it yourself, and also make the other people in the group, no matter how new, look good. That is the true definition of a high-level player. And we have a whole bunch of high-level players in our old container, as exemplified by how fun and successful those intro Zoom calls were. So that's what I want to stand for, is that at the end of 6 months, what are you guaranteed? Guaranteed. Let's say that the promise or the aim of a 6-month container, of a level 1 6-month container, is that you'll become a high-level player and have significant tools where you can take some of these games home. So we're not even talking about leadership yet. The second 6-month training would be learning to co-lead. And I think it's natural that for some people, they kind of speed through that first training, and they're really starting to work on the co-leading part. Learning specific games that where you can host, where you can facilitate a small group. Being able to co-lead in a larger, to support basically somebody leading a larger event or a weekend. And then the third one would be to learn to be a primary leader. And the fourth one, to learn to be a trainer. So that's interesting. At the same time, there's a relaxation about leadership, and also a more clear need for people who want to co-lead and are capable of. And I am assuming some kind of formal or informal certification, and like, I trust you to co-lead a weekend with me, so you're invited to. Who can I do that with? Like, I co-led with Kara and Stefan. I would definitely co-lead with them again, and Paula. And then I would love to increase that number to have it be like, 15, 10 in Europe, 5 in the US, maybe more, as soon as possible. And there's real workshops coming up. There's Washington, D.C., April 12th through 13th. I need 2 co-leads for that. Anybody? And it looks like I'm moving to Santa Cruz in early February in a house that can support events next to other Santa Cruz houses that are already friendly to us for Connection Games. So I'll need 2 co-leads for a Santa Cruz weekend soon, maybe March 1st. Anybody? April, May in Europe, maybe Belgium, maybe Amsterdam again. I need 2 co-leads for each of those. Who's in? And then, of course, the retreat. Part of the question is like, who... The retreat is also, so kind of the news there. So I've been convinced, not entirely kicking and screaming, to de-emphasize dance and emphasize basically the containers. Hopefully some of the people from the new container are coming as well, but definitely the old people from the old container. Have that actually really be the culminating experience for our time together in Montpellier. May 30th through June 6th, plus June 7th, 8th, 9th at a beach house for staff and container people. So part of that would be, well, who's leading Connection? Who's invited to lead Connection Games? It's kind of the same question, like who has stepped up. Ultimately, like I could lead every. I really don't want to lead every Connection Game. So who's up for co-leading, or even taking a full 3-hour session by themselves? But yeah, the retreat. There's been a lot of excitement about as well. And one of the things we just talked about this morning, which I was resistant to at first, but is growing on me, is the idea of other container people, basically leadership trainees, bringing their own gifts. So that would be the two specific ones that make a lot of sense are Val's martial arts training, where he actually spends entire sections talking about connection in the martial arts sense. And that gives me a sense that I wanted dance just because dance is my world. But maybe what I want more than anything is embodiment. And then Anya Sophie with theater improv. So that's really cool.